How do I become a confident biker? Watch this video. Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're all well. So, I've been watching a lot of videos recently on body language, body image, that kind of thing. And, people are telling me, if you do this, you do that, it kind of indicates this. And I always get confused by this thing. In fact, a lot of the elements which I teach on my courses are these kinds of elements as well, in terms of communication, non-verbal communication, what that means. So I'm well versed with the subject, but I still feel that some of the explanations given by some people, the experts out there, are a little bit wishy-washy. However, I wanted to draw this back into, well, being a biker, being a motorcyclist. How do you get more confident? Now, I'm not talking about confident about riding your motorcycle, because that's another aspect. I'm just talking about being happy in your own skin as a biker and going to motorcycle events. Now, let's just get back to riding your bike and confidence riding your bike. Well, that just comes from practice. That just comes from being around people who are going to help you out, teach you, let you know where you're going wrong, but, positive encouragement the whole time. And just, slowly but surely, you build up your confidence. You go on lots of different rides in different conditions, different speeds, different types of roads, different times of day, all that kind of stuff. So gradually you build up your confidence. And when you've had a knock to that confidence, let's say you've had an accident, then as the old saying goes, there's no better thing to get back on the horse as soon as you can, if you're able to. Now, I know a lot of people, I don't want to be flippant here, because, a lot of people can be traumatized by accidents. They have obviously sustained injuries, but it really is a good psychological barrier to break through if you can start doing that activity again. There are things that can paralyze you in many ways in terms of fear, and there's a psychological treatment or therapy. It's called flooding, where you can just face your fear and just whether it actually works or not, in terms of that's the best way. But lots of people think, if you hate spiders, then put a spider in your hand and and face that fear. And the more you do it, the less anxiety you'll feel about it. So that's about confidence in being a bike in terms of physically riding your bike. But what about having the confidence just to go to motorcycle events by yourself, or walk into a biker bar by yourself? It's not that easy. It's not that easy to be so confident that this is somehow a cure for your shyness. Not everybody is able to go in front of a camera. Not everybody is able just to stand up, in front of a room full of people, or to go on stage and start talking, or start singing, or doing whatever. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to have that level of confidence, but there are certain things which you can do, and there are certain things which you can try to do to make you feel more confident. And one of the things that, I always say to people is, regardless of what everybody else is doing, regardless of where you're going, you can actually just operate within your own bubble. You can just be your own person within that environment. Just stand up tall, the shoulders back, chest out, shoulders back, that kind of thing. Yes, it's a little bit old fashioned, but it's a way of just showing that, look, I'm at ease, I'm at confidence, relax, bit of deep breathing. And you might find this a little bit ridiculous. People think, oh, God, what's he on about? Why do I need to be confident? Well, there's lots of people out there, I've met them, who are not confident. They're not confident in their ability. They're not confident. They love riding bikes, but they're just not confident about being around other bikers, around other people. And they find it hard to, spark up conversations. Now, you could say, okay, well, look, bikers are the easiest people to talk to, because you usually end up talking about their bikes, or they're interested in what you're riding and that kind of thing. So it's quite easy to get over that confidence barrier as a biker, or as a motorcyclist, or whatever you want to call yourself, because there's always other people out there who are willing to talk to you. Perfect strangers on bikes are always willing to talk to you. That's part of the community. That's part of what being a biker is. There's, you'll always see somebody else on the road, and there's always somebody to wave at, to nod at. The next garage, you can always talk to somebody and just say, oh, hello, or hey, nice bike, or whatever it is. Guarantee somebody say, oh, hello, how are you? And you start talking straight away. There isn't that kind of feeling in the motorcycle world where, don't come and talk to me because I'm a mean dude or whatever. It very rarely happens, especially when you're just, talking about bikes and, you're open palms, your palms are out, and the way you show yourself and your body position, that says a lot of things. If you're aggressive and menacing and you're kind of furtive and kind of look a little bit dodgy, then people are going to react that way as well. But if you're just confident and relaxed and open about what you're doing and what you're looking at and everything like that, people react positively to that. 9 times out of 10, in fact, 999 times out of 1,000, or whatever it is, it's a really high percentage. So being confident is more about just being relaxed in your own skin and not worrying so much about your environment and not worrying about what other people think about you or what other bikers think of you. Because let's face it, everybody's in the same position. You go to a biker cafe, you go to a motorcycle event, there's always people there who are exactly the same position as you. They might be by themselves or they might be with another person, but they don't know everybody else in the event either. Everybody's just out there just to either mind their own business or just sit quietly, or if they want to spark up a conversation, they spark up a conversation. If they don't, just move on. It's very easy for somebody else to say, yeah, you just need to be confident. But you just have to believe in yourself and believe in that whatever you're doing, that actually nobody's going to judge you really. Nobody really cares, especially if you're being unoffensive, if that's the right word. If you're not really trying to be something that you're not. People get annoyed at people if they're trying to be something that they're not. But if you're just being yourself, whatever that is, if you're friendly, relaxed, confident, shoulders back, shoulders down, chest out a little bit, not necessarily being, forward, but, just being relaxed, then people are always warm to that. And you've got to be able to read the room, of course. Now, if somewhere it looks a bit dodgy, of course, and there are lots of dodgy people around, then, hey, just back away and do something else. You don't have to go to the same type of event all the time. There are lots of different types of bikers. There are lots of different types of motorcycle events, and there are lots of different people riding different types of bikes. You get all sorts of people on bikes. I've never said to anybody, just because you meet a biker, you're going to like them. People are people at the end of the day. But you just have to have that confidence in yourself. Confidence in your riding and confidence in yourself and the kind of places that you're going to. And so I've been watching a lot of these body image and reading body language videos recently. And they're really interesting. But I think sometimes you can just overcomplicate things. Just keep it simple, keep it relaxed. And 9 times out of 10, you'll be absolutely fine. And you'll attract positivity from other people around you. If you like what I do here, keep on watching the videos. Don't forget, you can go to the website RevelatorAlf.com for all the books and all the merchandise and clothing that I sell there as well. And with that, I'll catch you again in another video coming very soon. Bye now.